couple of decades ago, a few decades ago, there was a little band, and they were a pretty good band, and they played in local venues, and eventually they started getting a little bit of a following and a little bit of a notoriety. And what happened is that the drummer of this band started, am I not on?
Yeah, you are.
You're on.
The drummer of this band started feeling that he really shouldn't be in the band, that everyone else was the real band, but he was the odd man out. As a matter of fact, he got so overwhelmed with this, he was actually thinking of quitting. And so he went to his good friend, who was the guitar player of the band, and he shared his thoughts. And the guitar player said, you know, it's so funny that you're saying this, because I think everyone else is the real band, and that I'm the odd one out, and I myself was thinking I didn't belong, and I should quit. And so then the two of them went to one of the lead singers and shared with one of the lead singers, and guess what that lead singer said? Really? I thought you guys were the real band, and I was just a hanger-on, that I was the odd man out, and that I didn't really count. And so isn't that funny, that sometimes we think we're the odd person out, that we don't matter, but everyone else does. Have we ever been in a group of people, have we ever been in a situation where we thought everyone else was better, that we didn't belong? And if so, you're not alone. You can think about this band who, drummer Ringo Starr, guitar playing friend George Harrison, lead singer Paul McCartney. John must have had a bigger idea, so go John. So let's touch our chest and say this morning, I matter.
I matter.
I matter no matter what I might believe.
I matter no matter what I believe.
Because that's what it's about. It's about what we think that we believe that makes it into our lives as true. But it's not the truth, it's probably just a habit of believing. If we ever find ourselves in that situation where we think either we don't matter, we're not as good as someone else, everyone else has the right answers, everyone else belongs, but I somehow am a tag along, I'm the odd man out, it's because we have forgotten that God is in the house, that God is right where we are, showing up as us. God is in the house. And God is in the house, and so do we think that God's spirit, infinite intelligence, divine mind, it's pretty smart, isn't it? There's an intelligence at work here. I mean, it's pretty good making form from nothingness. That's pretty fantastic. That's pretty big. That's pretty intelligent. To think that we're the grand, here's what it is. It's kind of, we can think of it almost egotistically in reverse. Like, have you ever thought, because I have thought this, trust me, well, the law works for everyone but me. Everyone else can utilize the law, but oh no, especially when I'm in my down days, oh no, not me. Well, because I'm the odd man out. I'm the solo person in the whole entire history of mankind. The one exception, and the law does not work where I'm standing. It's like that cartoon picture with the cloud, and it's only wherever you are. How silly is that? How silly. When we think that, we have completely forgotten that we matter. We have completely forgotten that we are a divine point in the infinite expression, that we have forgotten the intelligence of the universe. Of course the law works for us, wherever we're going. But when we're in our doom and gloom phase, when we're depressed, when we're lacking limitation, when we're in fear, when we're in the oh woe is me's, we're attracting more of the same. We're not going to be able, we think, magically, that's what we want. We want to be the outlier of the law, that great things will happen for us still being miserable. I want to be miserable. I want to be sad. I want to think negative thoughts. I don't want to change, but I want the law to work a little bit differently for me. And I want the good stuff, even though I'm not changing. Even though I'm going to think the same way. Even though I am mired in my stuff. That doesn't matter. I don't want to create more of that. I want the good stuff. So sometimes we want that, right? And so So this is why it's so funny. This is why we need to have fun with spirituality. Because we are funny people. You know, I'm saying we. Of course, just reinterpret that as me. You know, but I'm hoping, that at least one person knows what I'm talking about. And, but it's laughable. Not when we're in the moment. Of course, it's not serious business. But, you know, you step away from it and we're funny. But we think that we're doing it all on our own. We've forgotten that there's an intelligence at work here. We've forgotten that there is only one thing, and that one thing is God. We're like the scientists they had a convention, you know, and they decided, you know what, they know about the meaning of life now. They know how to create life. So they got together and they decided that they're going to have to tell God this. So they nominated someone, and that person finally has an audience with God. And so she sees them. God is the her, you know. And so the scientists say, well, you know, we are scientists now. We don't need you anymore because we know how to, you know, create life. And so God says, okay, I'm interested. Show me. So the scientist reaches down, you know, grabs some dirt, and God says, oh no, stop right there. Get your own earth. So we think that we know that, you know what, we forget that there's something bigger than us. Wayne Dyer tells the time when his agnostic, logical mind first really adopted this idea that there could be some kind of a higher power, a divine essence. When a friend of his kind of gave him this example, he says, so imagine you're in a junkyard, and there's millions of pieces of plastic and wire and metal and foam and carpet and glass and all this stuff, millions and millions of pieces. And then all of a sudden a big wind comes, and the big wind is whipping around and whipping around. And finally, when the wind stops, what you have in front of you now in the junkyard is a fully manufactured airplane. The likelihood of that really happening is pretty darn slim. And so there is this intelligence at work always in our lives. And we have to remember it because it's at work in our life. That we are here for a person and we matter. Let's touch our chest and say, wow, I matter.
Wow, I matter.
I really matter.
I really matter.
Who I am is important.
Who I am is important.
And who we are is important. Who we are is the essence of the divine. Who we are is that God in form. There can be nothing greater than that. But we go about our business and we forget, we separate ourselves. We're full of judgments and opinions about what should and shouldn't happen. And we're looking and assessing everything with our eyes. And then we're keeping ourselves distant or better than or feeling less than because somebody has more. Well, who said that more is better? We're just loaded up with habits of thinking, with patterns of thinking. But the thinking that is critical for us is to remember that right where we are, the divine is. That our life is a life of the divine. That we are not supposed to be like anyone else. That we are not that great exception. That the law works, God is animating itself by everyone but me. No, we are an important, critical point. If God can make stuff out of nothing, the whole universe, the cosmos, life, without mistakes, it wasn't a time when you were born and then God said, oh, oops, there was a mistake. Well, one mistake out of a couple of trillion, that's okay. It's good enough for government work. We'll let it pass on through. No, that does not happen. But somehow what? We think it happens. We think somehow we're flawed. We think somehow we've got some serious issues and that if people really knew the real us, they'd really know we didn't belong. They'd really know we were the odd man out. It's nice just to think we think it, but we don't want anybody else to know it. Well, what is that? But that type of thinking is basically saying, oh, well, God makes mistakes, and I'm one of them. Well, God doesn't make mistakes. The divine spirit, infinite intelligence, whatever we want to call this creative action, does not make a mistake. We are here for a reason. We are here to fulfill a purpose. We are here to live that life divine. Whether or not we know it, whether or not we even can see the big picture, but what happens, some of us don't want to get started until we see the end result, until we see what the big picture is. Because we're so in the external, we don't want to fail, we don't want to look silly, because we've forgotten, because we think that we don't matter, because we think that, we don't want the people to know the real us. But there is magic in all of our lives. So, does anybody know somebody named, is on YouTube, Nick Vujicic? Has anyone seen his YouTube videos? I might link one on my Friday follow-up. Here's a young man from Australia. He was born without arms and legs. So he's a trunk, a head, a trunk, and what he'll call, it's like a little, he calls it maybe a chicken leg or a chicken wing. It's like a little flap of something. Well, Nick was born this way for no good reason. His dad was a minister, and needless to say, he had a hard time growing up. No limbs. And, but even though his folks had told him, that he's important and there's a reason for him being here, he didn't believe it. I mean, it's hard to believe when you're 8 years old, right? But now as a young man in his early 20s, he goes around the world talking to people and inspiring people. His tagline is from no limbs to no limits. And so there is a YouTube video, and he's talking to some high schoolers, and he'll tell them, and he says, and that there's a time when it looks like life just kicks you over, life just pushes you down, and then he tumbles over. So he's on a table. So you can imagine. So he's on a table. It's just a torso. So you just see a shirt, and then there's this little thing right here, and he falls himself over. Now, can you imagine? Now he has to get himself up. Can you imagine what it would be like to pick yourself up with no arms and no legs? So he, it takes him a little bit, and but he does pick himself up. And he says, if this is me, from no limbs to no limits, I matter. This is me. What about you? You matter. You are a divine light in this thing called God. But that, and he would talk about people didn't know how to approach him. Because we think that because he's missing some limbs, he's missing some mind, right? But he's a consciousness just missing a few body parts. Are we the body? Or are we the consciousness and the awareness that animates the body? But we so adopt an attitude that we are limited by what we can see. That we are limited because we don't have the right hair color, or they're not the right sex, or we don't have the right kind of money or the right kind of education. And we're loaded up with these habits of thinking that is absolutely not the truth, but they become the truth in our life because we continually perpetuate this. It is done unto us as we believe. And so if we believe that we don't matter, if we believe that we're flawed, if we believe there's something wrong with us, if we believe that life is hard, if we believe that we're not good in math, if we believe that we don't have enough time, if we believe there's not enough great men out there, if we believe that customers are scarce, if we believe that our good has to only come from our job, if we believe that we're not attractive, whatever it is that we believe, that's what we're going to get to experience over and over and over, because we're the boss. We're the boss, and the law is our servant. The law is our employee, and it only knows to do what we tell it. But we have been telling it the wrong messages over and over and over because we didn't know better, because it's a habit. And habits, you don't even have to think about them, right? Brush your teeth. Who thinks about up, down, start on the left, up, down? No, it's a habit. I don't have to think about how to brush my hair. I mean, I don't know about you, but I always brush my teeth the same exact way. Start on the left. I always start by brushing my hair here. I never brush with my left hand. After After I'm blow drying, I always bend over. Habits, I'm not even thinking. And so we have habits of thinking about our lives and who we are in relationship to that may or may not be the truth. So no matter what we really think, we can change that and enter into a higher level. So it's about having this new idea. There was a teacher, and she gets a new class of students, and right by their names, there's numbers. So there's name 145, name 141, name 153, name 152. And she's thinking, wow, finally, I have a class of geniuses. So she is so thrilled. And so she teaches them all semester long, and she challenges them. And she treats them as if they were geniuses. And gives them challenging work. And at the end of the semester, the principal comes in and says, you have made amazing. What did you do? They got all A's and B's. You have made tremendous progress with these students. And she says, well, it's easy when you have a class full of geniuses. And the principal says, geniuses? These people are the worst of the worst. These are the kids that had problems coming in. And she says, what are you talking about? They have the name and their IQ right next door to them. He says, the principal, he says, that's not their IQ. That's their locker numbers. But she had a belief now. She didn't have that habit of thinking about these kids. And perhaps because she didn't have that habit of thinking about these kids, they didn't have that habit of thinking about themselves. Maybe for the first time in their lives. And so, in that way, not only can we affect and impact our own lives, but we can affect and impact the lives of others by how we observe them, by how we're going to use the word judge, by how we judge them, not by what we see, not by what they do, not by what they have, not by what they look like, but by what we know. And what we know is that they matter, that they are important, that they deserve to be treated with respect. Why? Because we're all one. Because the entirety of God is having its way with itself by means of each and every one of us. Each and every one of us. And so we matter. We all matter. And we can remember that God is in our house. So Rumi, and we have to remember it ourselves, right? Rumi says this, the great poet, the Sufi mystic. He says, you were born with potential. You were born with goodness and truth. You were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You are not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Use them, learn to use them, and fly. Know this truth about you. We have wings. We are meant to fly. We were born with greatness in us. We were born with magnificence in us. We were born with the magic of life and love and creation and joy and happiness and fulfillment and harmony. It is right where we are. It is within us. Why? Because it is God expressing itself. Because there is only one thing. And that one thing is life and love and activity and harmony and joy. It is the essence of all that is. It is what we are. So if we ever think that we don't belong, if we ever think that we don't matter, that everyone else has the answer, but not us, let's turn that around and remember that we do matter. Because God doesn't make mistakes. There was no oopsies on the day that we were born. We are the delight and the wonderful wholeness, beingness, and joy of the divine, because God is in the house. And so I have some more affirmations for us. So let's say this, if you want to put your hand on your chest. I matter, and I know I matter.
I matter, and I know I matter.
I have much to offer the world.
I have much to offer the world.
I belong.
I belong.
Today I look up.
Today I look up.
Get up.
Get up.
And rise up.
And rise up.
To my true greatness.
To my true greatness.
I I am forever progressing,
I am forever progressing,
forever unfolding,
forever unfolding,
forever revealing God.
forever revealing God.
I am an epicenter of divine love.
I am an epicenter of divine love.
And this love sweeps the planet.
And this love sweeps the planet.
I am constantly becoming all that God knows me to be.
I am constantly becoming all that God knows me to be.
Gratitude fills my heart and overflows my life.
Gratitude fills my heart and overflows my life.
God is alive and well in my house.
God is alive and well in my house.
I have a wonderful life.
I have a wonderful life.
And this is a wonderful world.
And this is a wonderful world.
And so it is.
And so it is.